Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Markets on Tuesday, the 31st of March, the final day of the quarter in what has been a very turbulent quarter for markets. More of that tomorrow when we'll recap on just what's happened over the past 3 months. Turning to overnight markets, what have we been discussing as a team this morning? The first thing was the continued strength of the US market yesterday, with all major US indices closing up over 3%. I think there's a couple of factors behind that. One, the advances that we're hearing from a number of healthcare companies in their fight against COVID-19. So we heard from 2 US companies yesterday, Abbott Labs and Johnson & Johnson, both who have made significant strides in their efforts, with Abbott coming up with a new test for the COVID-19, which is significantly faster than those that are currently in the marketplace. And also Johnson & Johnson indicating that they could have a vaccine that would be ready to be used come the third, fourth quarter of this year. So again, indicating the speed at which our knowledge of COVID-19 continues to evolve, but also the inventiveness and the R&D capabilities of some of the companies that are leading that fight. The other thing that we discussed this morning was the significant rebound that we've seen in China for the purchasing managers indices, both in relation to manufacturing industry in China, but also on the service side. Both of those purchasing managers indices came in above 50. 50 indicates expansion territory, and that's from the very, very weak numbers that they recorded in February. So a very significant snapback in Chinese manufacturing and service indicators today. That has provided support to Asian markets overnight, where we have seen markets been relatively stable as we've moved through the course of the day. The other thing that we've been touching on of late has been the oil price. The oil price has obviously moved up today on the back of the improvement in that Chinese data, which supports the oil market, given China is a very large importer, the largest importer of crude oil globally. The other thing that I think is putting a little bit of support into that market today is the fact that both President Trump and the Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke yesterday, and they've decided to continue their discussions with both energy ministers meeting in the coming days. I would caution, however, that without the involvement of Saudi Arabia in any of those discussions, I think it's very difficult to see stability coming back into the oil market in the near term. The other thing that we've started to hear a little bit about is the ongoing Brexit negotiations. Yes, they are continuing at this point, but I think we would all understand that that's becoming increasingly more difficult. We have started to hear from some of the European discussion side that they would like to potentially suspend or lengthen the transition period. That's something that probably does make sense, but we'll just have to wait and see, given the stance that the Prime Minister has taken here in the UK. I think the other thing that will become increasingly evident over the coming days is the number of companies that will be starting to give an indication of their performance in the first quarter, and more significantly, what they're thinking about for guidance into the rest of the year. I don't think we'll see anybody making significant statements as to what they think about 2020. Indeed, those that have started to report have been withdrawing guidance that's been in place. Clearly understandable given the magnitude of the shutdown that the global economy is experiencing. One of the key themes, I think, however, will be how corporates are thinking about cash and their use of cash. So we've seen this morning WPP, the advertising agency, come out and suspend its dividend program. I think this is going to be a theme as we go through the following period and the indication that companies will give us. Please join us again tomorrow when we'll give a brief recap of what happened in the third quarter, and then move on to think about what are the key developments that happened overnight. Thanks again. Bye.